There's a particular kind of calm that appears before the institutions do some things they cannot easily undo or even easily execute it. See, it looks silence. It feels like delay, but in reality, it's a system holding its own breath because even it is not sure what happens after the next step. Welcome to Fourth Floor Post English. Right now, the main delay is around notification of CDF and the preceding effects of the amended Article 243. Notifications were supposed to come by 29th of November, that is today, hasn't yet. So the delay has raised some serious questions and speculations. That is where Pakistan is sitting right now. For days, we have been told through friendly journalists that the notification is done. People like Zayed Gishkori repeat that the paperwork is ready. The Command of Defense Forces structure exists on paper, and yet nothing is being made public. Now that is not efficiency, that is managed ambiguity. And when you see this much ambiguity around Article 243 and the chain of command, it means three things. There is serious disagreement inside the power structure, there is serious talks with Khan, or there is some international conspiracy. There are no other logics or logical explanations to the pickle we have found ourselves in. Let's put the architecture on the table. Article 243 has been reinterpreted to create a new Chief of Defense Forces above the 4-star old military structure. And on top of it, the new Vice Chief post has been created. On paper, it sounds neat. A 5-star title at the top and 4-star below, and everything aligned under the national security. In reality, it opens up two explosive questions. Will the Chief of Defense Forces and the Army Chief remain the same person or become two separate power centers? Question 1. Second question, will the Vice Chief be 3-star or support role or the 4-star parallel pole of power? Because if the Vice Chief is made 4-star, then one very basic but dangerous question appears. Where does or who does the intelligence system of the country truly report to? If the Director General of Intelligence reports to Vice Chief, then the Vice Chief or the Vice Chief has a 4-star, then the person with the title, the above title, CDF, may not be the person with the real control. The system has created a built-in leak, and that is the leak. That is why you see reports, again, from the people like Azaz Syed who are close to establishment suggesting that for now, the Vice Chief may not be appointed at all, or the Vice Chief may not be 4-star at all. For now, is doing all the work here. It means the structure has been approved, but the people inside it do not fully trust the consequences of switching on it. So that may be the one reason for delay, because those who wanted centralization through 27th Amendment don't want this leak. While this silent tug of war is happening at the top, look at what is happening around the Khan, Imran Khan. Family is blocked from meeting him in Nadiyala for more than a month. His son, Qasim, is publicly asking for proof of life. Outside Nadiyala, his sisters and supporters are gathering almost daily. The official response from the government is absurd. Government claiming that fine, he's having soup and chicken and everything. Even the Nadiyala administration, the jail's administration itself has informally stepped back, saying that if people from PTI reach the gates of jail, we will arrange the meeting. What happens outside is not our responsibility. In other words, the administrative side of Nadiyala jail is willing to follow the rules. But the political side, which means Punjab police outside, is using access as a leverage. So why is there a blackout? Simple reason could be there are negotiations going on between establishment and Khan amid delaying of notifications. What are they talking about? What are they talking to Khan about? Maybe wanting Khan to accept the new rules. But what if he doesn't? Will they go to the scapegoat formula, which I will explain in a while, or a forced reversal? See, forced reversal is only possible once there is sanity and once there is realization at the top that we have to move forward with this new format. We might end up in accident. That realization should be there to have a forced reversal, and not on the top, but among the people who make the establishment. So that brings us to the third logical reasons of the delay, the international conspiracy. The Prime Minister is not in Islamabad, not even in the country. He is in United Kingdom. Everyone in Pakistan understands the symbolic value of London in our politics. When the key notifications are stuck, the command architecture is unsettled, Adiala is under pressure, there are concerns about Khan life, and the Prime Minister is in London. You are not looking at the coincidence, sir. You are looking at the strings being pulled. But what happens if no changes appear? What happens if no leakages happen? Or all the leakages are sealed? And what happens if the continuation of same ideology goes on? It's visible in the arrogance of the politicians and the arrogance of the mouthpieces dressed as journalists. It is visible in their tone what they want. They will go against Khan in a worst possible way. You can see everywhere. Look at today's DGISP's press conference. I mean, people expected some clarity on the command structure, the CDF position, or at least on the delay of the notifications. Instead, the entire briefing was used to build a charge sheet against Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government and against PTI. We were told there is a nexus of political criminals and militants. We were told in certain areas like Tira and Khyber, the state has no real administrative structure. Khyber is the same district from where Chief Minister Afridi of the same province belongs to. The blame was pushed directly toward PTI and the sitting KPK government under obviously Chief Minister Sohail Afridi. The pattern is very clear. First, you politically destabilize KPK, then you engineer elections in a way everyone can see, and then immediately after the elections, there are attacks in Peshawar. And then the same region is painted as administratively irresponsible and politically reckless and maybe anti-state. And the party ruling it will be pushed against a wall by presenting all threats to Khan's life, isolating him from family and party. They are asking PTI to react. And once they react, they will label them anti-state. Recent examples of Khan's sister appearing on Indian channels to plead for the brother are the same examples of such mistakes, which they will use against PTI. See, Afridi is being pushed into a trap. When he supports the operation, that is not enough. When he hesitates in bringing people to the streets, he is branded as weak or confused. We saw earlier that format with Ali Amin Gandapur, the previous chief minister. Pushed him, overload him, let him burn out, and then say, see, he was never serious. He had no capacity to bring Khan out. And now the same playbook is being tested on the CM Afridi and on PTI and KPK right now. The message is simple. If you react on the streets, we will brand you as a security threat. And if you do not react, we will quietly separate you from your own base, which is KP, and your own issues, which is Pakhtun issues. That is just one nexus of power politics. The other major nexus is judiciary. On paper, Pakistan now has a federal constitutional court. In reality, lawyers and many political actors see it as a government court, Sarkari court. Look at how Aminuddin, the Chief Justice of the Federal Constitutional Court, Aminuddin behaves. In case involving 5 judges, a complaint against the role of establishment, the very role of establishment in the judiciary, the 5 sitting judges of the high courts went against the state to their Supreme Court. And that Supreme Court obviously rejected them. They filed an intra-court appeal, which ended up being in Federal Constitutional Court. Now, in Federal Constitutional Court, neither the lawyers nor the judges, obviously they don't recognize the court legitimacy, so they did not appear. The Justice Aminuddin Saab didn't care about anything. He went ahead and delivers the decision, rejecting the intra-court appeals that challenge the very engineering of this new legal structure. Look at the other member of this Constitutional Court, Justice Ali Bakar Nazvi. Look at his mentality. He described Noor Muqaddam murder case, a brutal murder. He described that murder as a direct result of what he interpreted as a moral failing between 2 adults living together. Living together is a sin, and hence this murder. That's what he wanted to say. He is not fit to be the judge, but he is judge of the highest court in this country. Now connect this mindset to the cases that matter for the economic order, the new economic order, the new political ideology. You have serious concern around the mining and environmental degradation and provincial autonomy. Around this quote, a web of new authorities is being created. Gold and Gemstone Authority already created. Potential Minerals Board will be created. Maybe future Canals and River Management Authority will be created. Corporate farming frameworks will be created to touch that touch land and water in every province. Every major conflict between provincial rights and the central appetite will end up in the Federal Constitutional Court. And that is the same pattern, same court being openly rejected by the parts of the bar and seen as the instrument of establishment. Once that court is fully normalized, you do not actually need a 28th constitutional amendment to centralize more power. You don't. The court itself become a permanent centralizing machine. That is why Pakistan People's Party is so nervous and so compromised at the same time. On the surface, Pakistan People's Party talks about resisting certain amendments and protecting provincial autonomy. In practice, it runs Sindh, yes. It needs federal support, yes. It knows that if it draws a hard line on minerals, ports, islands, water, it can be painted as obstructive or even aligned with the foreign agendas, especially when the Indian Defence Minister has already made irresponsible statement about the province of Sindh. So PPP is sliding into the role of dummy opposition. It will attend NFC meeting. It will speak softly against the pooling of the provincial funds for the debt servicing and the defence. It will do it. And then under pressure, it will compromise more while staying in the opposition benches so the system can claim there is democracy and there is debate and there is government and there is opposition and there is no need for PDI. See, now let's come to the internal politics of establishment itself, which is the main problem here. To me, this is why the notification is stuck. Nawaz Sharif has a long history of trying to create rift or the splits between the institutions. He has tried before, whether through attempts like General Jahangir episode or the General Ziauddin appointment saga. He succeeded once, failed the next time, but his instincts remain same. And I feel that's exactly what he's doing right now. Which is concerning because right now, in hatred against Imran Khan and PTI establishment and military is actually weakening itself. Look at the timing. See, Azaz Syed once publicly accused Lieutenant General Faiz Amin and Lieutenant General Azhar Abbas of being involved in leaking sensitive data about the General Asim Munir when he was nominated for Army Chief back in the day. That was already serious. But the day General Shahid Shamshad Mirza retires as the Joint Chief of Staff Committee, the day he retires, Azaz Syed suddenly adds Shahid Shamshad's name to the same allegation set. He did not discover that on retirement day. He chose that day to say it. What is establishment doing with all this? I fail to see. I mean, they can't see that somebody is playing their own game. See, at the same time, there is a push to prosecute General Faiz Amin too, for what clearly seen by many as politically framed reasons. Punish him. All we don't care about that. Once you cross that line, once you sentence a senior military officer similarly on political symbol, you have opened the door you cannot close. Every future chief, every future chairman, every future senior officer now lives with the knowledge that the retirement is not protection from retrofitted accusations. That might suit people in the civilian power today, but it is corrosive for the institutional cohesion. It is the opposite of centralized unity the CDF model claims to pursue. Now overlay the external game on the top of this. Pakistan is actively trying to regain American relevance by aligning itself Afghan posture with Washington's frustrations. By framing isolated events like Afghan origin shooter in the front of White House as terrorism in our own narrative, even when US treats it as an individual crime. We want to call it terrorism. By quietly signaling acceptance of positions such as there is no place for Hamas and sending our troops to Gaza to secure new Israeli formula. It is not a joke. See, at the same time, Afghanistan announced the transit trade will move through Chabahar, directly benefiting India and Iran. That shift hurts Pakistani economy, but what it hurts the most is Pakhtun communities first. See, China watches all this and recalculates again. CPEC continues to stagnate. Internally, terror incidents bleed KPK, while its policies or its politics is deliberately being destabilized. Externally, transit is diverted, and Afghan policy is weaponized to prove our usefulness to Washington at the cost of our own regional leverage. And then comes the economic squeeze. The IMF is no longer just talking about the finance ministry, it is knocking on the institution's doors. The EU has already signaled concern about the GSP plus status. And while we are in bed with the Arab countries over the ISF, Islamic Stabilization Force, UAE is quietly tightening visa regimes on Pakistan. See, if this continues, it is only the matter of time before the defense budget itself drawn into the conditionalities. IMF will talk about it. You can already see the preface. Western institutions openly question international capacity, governance, and spending efficiencies. So what do we have? A hyper-centralized command model under Article 243 and a new CDF architecture that is not fully trusted even by those who designed it. Hence the delay. A government court, Federal Constitutional Court, that converts every controversial project into legally certified decision. A dummy opposition being shaped out of Pakistan People's Party and maybe Maulana Fazlur Rahman. PTI and KPK being framed as a destabilizing force or being framed as something that could be disposable. Sindh being slowly prepared to be painted as problem if it resists resource extraction or resist water management. Senior generals being selectively targeted in the media and in courts to manage internal rifts. External dependence deepening while internal cohesion erodes. The final missing piece is the public, the affected people. Lawyers cannot stop this machine, PTI alone cannot stop it, especially if it insists on flying solo. No alliance can be formed or used to stop it without real affected communities, aka general and judges standing with them. But when the affected people, Pakhtuns hit by the economy and security policies, Sindhis being threatened by the resources projects, citizens watching their courts become rubber stamps, and the supporters watching Imran Khan kept in deliberate opacity in a dialogue. When all of this begin to converge, then the architecture meets something it cannot fully control, an uncontrolled reaction. That is where the real danger lies for everyone. Because the current model seems to be betting on one formula: centralized power, overreach, trigger a crisis, go for accidents once and for all, and then find a scapegoat. They don't realize situation may not be the same as Zia or Yahya this time. You can already see the rehearsal of scapegoat formula. Once the accident happens, someone will be sacrificed to prove that the system is still pure. My point is, this is not the story about one notification, not about one man in a diala, not about one amendment or not about one election. It is about whether Pakistan chooses to keep tightening a system that is already structurally unstable, or whether it pulls back before the Article 243. The CDF model and the government court combines into permanent, unaccountable force. Because once the accident happens, once the scapegoat is chosen, and once the public reaction truly breaks the balance between confusion and chaos, no CDF, no party, no court, and no foreign patron will be able to guarantee where the country lands. And the people designing this experiment will, as always, have exit options. The rest of the country will not.